Hello, I hope you're doing well today. Today I wanted to talk about health savings accounts, HSAs, and some benefits of them and how I plan to use my HSA in my early retirement planning. So in order to qualify for HSA, you have to have a high deductible health plan, which is something that a lot of employers offer. It's just one of those things you would just have to check with your employer and see if it's a possibility for you. The trade-off with this type of plan is that you're expected to pay a lot of the out-of-the-pocket, a lot of the initial out-of-pocket costs before your health plan picks up some of those costs. And in return, you get a lower, you get charged a lower monthly premium for that health plan. And it's a good deal for a lot of folks, especially if you're relatively healthy and don't spend a lot of time in doctor's offices and with a lot of medical procedures and emergency rooms and hospitals and things of that nature, which, a fair number of people probably fall in that category. Some of the big advantages of a health savings account include you get that money taken out of your paycheck before taxes, which is great. You can invest the money that you put in an HSA account so it can grow tax-free, which is awesome. And then if you withdraw the funds to use for a qualified medical expense, then you don't have to pay any taxes on the money as it comes out. So people often refer to that as the triple tax advantage of paying no taxes going in, paying no taxes on the growth, and paying no taxes when the money's coming out, which I think is awesome. Also, a little bit later in life, you can withdraw the money penalty-free after reaching the age of 65 for any reason at all, and it would be treated as taxable income. But if you reach the age of 65 and would like to pull out that money to use for other things, then you certainly can do that penalty-free. Now, if you want to withdraw that money before the age of 65 for non-medical expenses, well, there's a pretty steep penalty that I believe is 20%. Don't know for sure on that, but there is a penalty if you try to take the money out and use it for non-approved medical related expenses. So I did some checking here recently, and I first signed up for a high deductible health insurance plan and started contributing to my HSA in the year 2011. And it looks like for several years, I contributed money, my employer contributed money, and I went ahead and withdrew that money year to year for medical expenses, which is fine because then, you get that money tax-free. So there is some advantages, but I think the real power in HSAs is actually being able to pay most of your medical expenses just out of pocket and allowing that money to sit and grow. So the last year that I reimbursed myself for medical expenses was in the year 2020. Afterwards, I guess I had a change in philosophy and decided that I would just let the money grow. And so for the years 2021, 2022, 2023, and 2024, I did not make any sort of distributions or withdraw any money on my HSA for any reason and just let it grow. And it did grow, and I'm very pleased with the results. Oh, one of the other advantages that I forgot to mention was that there is no timeline or deadline as far as reimbursing yourself for medical expenses. So if you have medical expenses, you just have to hold on to those receipts, and you can reimburse yourself way out into the future for medical expenses. And that's exactly how I intend to use my HSA currently. is I'm keeping it fully invested. I'm not taking any money out to reimburse myself for any medical expenses unless something significant comes up during these years of early retirement. If something significant comes up, then I will probably withdraw money on my HSA to reimburse myself for those expenses. But haven't had any of those so far. Fingers crossed. So if that continues to be the case, I'm going to continue to let it grow up until around the time, maybe by the time I turn 60 or certainly by 65. If I haven't had any substantial medical expenses I've reimbursed myself for, then you are allowed at 65, when you sign up for Medicare, you are allowed to reimburse yourself for Medicare premiums that you pay for Medicare Parts A, Parts B, Part C, or Medicare Advantage, which I plan to do that. Now, you can't reimburse yourself for Medigap insurance, which is unfortunate, but so there are some ways to go ahead and start drawing down your HSA later to help reimburse yourself for, if no out-of-pocket medical expenses, at least your Medicare, some of your Medicare that you'll be paying for at the age of 65 and later. Now, one disadvantage of HSA is it's not a good account to inherit. If you pass away, or you and your wife pass away, and the kids inherit the HSA, they have to go ahead and receive all that money in one tax year, which can be quite a tax hit versus, say, an IRA or Roth IRA, where they have a 10-year period to withdraw those funds. So the HSA is not a great account to pass along to your heirs. So it's generally best to go ahead and whittle that down over your lifetime. So that's my intentions with my HSA. And I'm also going back and I'm starting to go through and look at and collect all my receipts and go ahead and document my expenses that I would like to reimburse myself for. Because one thought I have is the year before I turn 59 and a half, I might have a slight gap in my income. And if so, one of the things I could do is go ahead and reimburse myself for medical expenses, previous medical expenses, to get some of that money if I need to. So that's why I can tell you for sure that I started accumulating money in my HSA in 2011. And the last time I had a distribution from my HSA to reimburse myself for a medical expense was in 2020. So I've taken time. It took almost a full day, a morning and afternoon, to just go through all my receipts, all my medical receipts for the years 2021 and 2022. And I will say that I had $1,457.35 worth of medical expenses in 2021 that I can reimburse myself for, that I have receipts. In some cases, I had to go pull credit card transactions in order to make sure that I had a documentation in case I'm ever audited that I did pay for some particular medical expenses that I didn't have a receipt handy. For 2022, I had $4,805.19 worth of reimbursable medical expenses. So I'm going to spend a few more days and go ahead and collect that information for 2023 and 2024 as well, just so I'll know how much I accumulated in medical expenses that I could reimburse myself for, so that if I need to get at that money, then I know I have access to that amount of cash. So that's it. That's my spiel on HSA accounts. I think they're very underrated and very underappreciated. The advantages of being able to put money away and do that without paying taxes on it going in, or paying any taxes on the growth, and being able to invest that and not pay any taxes when you take the money out, as long as it's under the appropriate conditions for approved medical expenses. So I highly recommend that, and that you incorporate that into your early retirement planning, or just in your planning for living a life of financial freedom. That's exactly what this channel is all about. I'm curious, do you have a HSA? And if so, how do you plan to use it? Have you just been reimbursing yourself for expenses, or have you allowed that to grow any? I would be curious to know. So leave a comment below. And if you like this comment, please consider liking the video, subscribing to the channel. That really helps get this message out to others that have the same interests as we do. In the meantime, I hope you take care and have a great day, and we'll talk again soon. Bye now.